Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of NFL Fantasy Matchup. As always, I'm Jimmy and Jed here. More so, before we start some of the football conversations, did you guys watch the NBA Cup and what did you think of it? Because I was very disappointed by Oklahoma and Shea Alexander.
Yeah, I was so disappointed in Oklahoma. I felt like Shea in particular, if you noticed, they were covering him full court. They really putting the lockdown on him, and I didn't think he responded. And so was very disappointed in his performance, but just disappointed in Oklahoma overall. I think in the first half they shot three of I think 25 from 3 point land. You cannot win like shooting that poorly. But kudos to Milwaukee. They've definitely turned it around and looked like a real contender. Their defense really stepped up. So I was pretty impressed, but I was disappointed in Oklahoma.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you think about it, it's not just Shea, right? Like, if he was the only one who scored the 3 pointers, everybody else was missing their 3 pointers. If they
Yeah.
hit their 3 pointers, then I think the strategy for Milwaukee wouldn't work, right? Then they would have laid off Shea and try to guard everybody else. But because they were all missing shots, they were able to keep covering him. And I mean, he still scored, 21 points,
Yeah.
but essentially, I mean, they just overwhelmed these guys.
Well, it made it the absence of Chet Holmgren really
Yeah.
obvious
Oh,
because
Chet
they
Holmgren. I keep forgetting they're missing that guy,
yeah,
right?
oh see, and he's their number two scorer.
Yeah.
So it just once you get that, it should open things up. So
Yeah,
they should be fine in the long term, but it was a good wake up call for them
yeah.
that they can't just steamroll like they have been.
Now, as much as the defense, like you have Caruso, who's really, really good, but he can't shoot. Every single time you watch him shoot a three, he misses all the time. Jalen Williams probably is not a good number two scorer, probably a third scorer, scored 18 points. And
Yeah.
so, where is the offense coming from? And so, you need a check homegrown. But at the same time, you probably need, like Gary Trent from Milwaukee was making all his threes. Every single time they gave it over to Gary Trent, he just made all his threes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Giannis in Milwaukee's been kind of, like they had some issues early on trying to get adjusted, but they've been 13-3 the last 16 games, and I think they're doing pretty good. I mean, I think it's going to be them in Boston in the East.
Yeah. Well, Giannis looks so good. I give him all the credit in the world. I've said for a long time he's a big bully. He's like Shaq out there. He's a big physical bully, but he's really improved his skills, like his ability to drive. Basically, when he's driving with the head of steam, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
There's pretty much no way you can stop him. And he had a ton of assists. He was passing out to his 3 point shooters, and so I mean, credit to Giannis. They are a force. We'll see.
And Jed, I was listening to NBA podcast with Brian Windhurst, and he says it really all started when Giannis stopped shooting jumpers and three pointers
Yep.
and started driving. And
Yeah.
he started facilitating. And when he started averaging a triple double, with the majority of it coming from just going to the basket, that's when they started winning.
Oh, he's
Okay, so
unstoppable. When he's
yeah.
driving, he's unstoppable.
Do you guys like the NBA Cup? Have you guys enjoyed it?
I loved it. I thought it was great. I hope the viewership numbers were much better. I thought the competition was great. I thought the games were fun. You could see that people were. Did you guys see the benches yesterday? Of course, because
Oh yeah,
the
yeah,
bench
yeah.
players 500,000, right? So that's why they
Well,
were
yeah.
like really, but they were really into it.
So I will appreciate Lilliard. Lilliard came out yesterday because I guess he was the MVP, right? He's just said they said, "What are you going to do with your $500,000?" And he's going to give the $500,000 to trainers and the staff.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so that's pretty nice of him.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah. Hey, switching on the football side, we now have two quarterback changes. Kirk Cousins loses his starting job, and Dorian Thompson Robinson will take Jameis Winston's place. And hey,
Oh,
look, I am so surprised. Kirk Cousins, they signed him to a huge contract. And so you knew something was up when Michael Penix was drafted. But yet at the same time, even on Monday's game, he only threw one touchdown, and he has been 112 yards, definitely 100 under 120 yards. He has not been very good.
yeah, I was shocked. Like, I don't know what happened to him. Like, didn't necessarily expect him to be great, but he's been really bad. So, yeah,
I
it will
think
be
I think
interesting to
he's still
see.
injured. Don't you think he's
Hmm.
still injured?
Yeah,
I just don't
yeah.
think he's. I think Atlanta had thought that he would progress further from now, but he hasn't. So, did you know whichever team takes him on? So if tomorrow Atlanta cuts him, they still owe him $56 million.
Whew.
If they're able to trade him, they still owe $36 million. So the new team can take over like 20 of it, but they still owe
Yeah.
36 million. So whatever happens, they still owe $36 million on
Yeah.
this guy.
Now, Jed, his agent, and I've gotten to know him a little bit, Mike McCartney, he's a smart agent, very, very smart agent. By the way, he was the son of Bill McCartney over at the University
Oh,
of Colorado.
okay. Yeah, I mean, if you look, I think there's a whole stat on Kirk Cousins has made the most money per year of like almost any quarterback out there, especially when you consider his talent level. The guy has definitely maximized the most he could get out of his talent. So kudos to him. One note I was going to say, fantasy wise, though, the fact that Cleveland is going to be starting this new quarterback, look at Cincinnati's defense. I know a lot of you are in your playoffs. If you're in your last two
Yes.
games, pick up Cincinnati's defense. There's no way this guy is going to turn things around, or there's going to be at
No.
least some
Yeah.
turnovers. It'll be a good chance for you to pick up some points.
And while Jameis Winston was starting, you had Jerry Jeudy, who's doing so well. And so a lot of times I would probably hold off on Jerry Jeudy. Nick Chubbs is out. Jerome Ford, is he a good start? I probably would say probably not.
Yeah.
Well, but I don't know. You assume he's at least going to get some carries. And if you're desperate and looking for a running back, that was one of the running backs I was going to say. Jerome Ford is one of the guys that you might be able to still get. He might be still sitting out there. I picked up the backup in New Orleans in case Kamara is out. I'm forgetting his name right now, but the
Is
second
it?
guy.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, it's the backup in New Orleans in case Kamara is out. We'll see if Kamara is going to play or not. But if he is, or if he isn't, that's potentially a pick. But at this point, you're looking just kind of at the bottom of the barrel if you're in desperate need of a running back. And so I think Ford is not a terrible option. You're just hoping for a touchdown, basically.
Yeah. Okay, so before we go on, let me say two things. Jed, you beat me in the 1K league. I was third place and I lost to you. And this week I played Tommy in the semifinals for our other league. Let me tell you, I was doing really well this year, but at the end of the day, Mahomes went out. Jonathan Taylor did not do what I thought he would do. Malik Neighbors was okay. He did actually have a pretty good game, but the last couple of weeks just not too well. And Jaden Reed did not come through for me for the season. Like start off hot, but didn't do well. So I started off really good. I was in first place for a number of weeks and ended up in third place, and then I just lost to you in the 1K league.
Yeah, the 1K league is a tough league, man. And I got lucky because Derrick Henry has been my kind of cornerstone, and he didn't have a great week. What saved me was James Conner. James Conner had a great week last week. AJ Brown, Terry McLaurin finally starting to come around. So we'll see if I can pull off another upset. I'm playing the number 2 team this week, and then if I happen to win that, I probably will end up playing the number 1. So it's a tough league, but I'm hoping that we can at least one of us can at least place, so we can kind of say that we did okay.
Yeah.
Jimmy and I are in playing against each other for for the semifinals. He has Baker Mayfield, but he's playing against Dallas. That's a good matchup.
Yep, very good.
Brian Thomas is playing against Las Vegas. Nico Collins, KC. That might be hard. Tracy, New York running back, is playing against Atlanta. And then you have George Kittle. He is off and on, depending on who it is. And that's by Isaac Guerrero.
I like Nico.
Nico Collins is pretty good.
I think Nico is a good one. And you mentioned Baker Mayfield. I was going to say, if you have Baker Mayfield, you might look at this, Jimmy. Pick up Jalen McMillan. He's the number 2 wide receiver. Yeah, so if you can pick him up, you can link those two together. He's had touchdowns in the past 3 weeks.
I think Tommy already picked him up.
Yeah, I already picked him up because I saw that he had Baker Mayfield, all right?
Nice.
Yes, I saw. So I actually have Joe Burrow, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Terry McLaurin, Chuba Hubbard, Drake London. But, Jed, let me ask you, since I'm playing against
Drake.
Jimmy,
Yeah.
Jawan Jennings or McMillan, who would you start?
Ooh, I kind of like Jawan Jennings, though. I'm telling you, he's. I know they're out of the playoffs and everything, but who's Purdy going to throw to? I think Jawan Jennings might be the pick there. But you can always hedge, guys. So for those of you listening, if you know your opponent is starting like a Baker Mayfield and you're trying to take his, let's say, number 1 or number 2 wide receiver, so that if he scores, you end up scoring more points. Because a lot of leagues, the quarterback gets less points for a touchdown than the wide receiver. So then that's kind of a nice hedge.
Yeah. The only reason I'm actually thinking McMillan is they're playing Dallas. That's the only reason.
Yeah.
Dallas, but then Jawan Jennings is playing Miami. Miami has some tough secondary. So do I want to do Jennings with the tougher secondary, or do I want to do McMillan with the Dallas secondary?
Yeah, you might go with McMillan. He's the hot hand right now for sure. Like I said, he
Yeah.
scored a touchdown in
Well,
at
I
least the
think
last 2 weeks.
Mayfield's just been hot recently, and so I got Jordan Love sitting on the bench, and so I was like, you know what, I'd much rather, at least right now, Jordan Love. I know I can get 20 points out of. Baker Mayfield, I could potentially get 30, and that 10 point difference can make a difference for me, right? I'm also
Yeah.
hoping that Zach Charbonnet, who's sitting on my bench right now, I'm pretty sure Kenneth Walker is going to end up playing, but I do hope that he doesn't play so that I can put in a Zach Charbonnet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, don't sleep on Kendra Miller. What you were talking about, Jed,
Yeah.
is especially with Kamara, he was drafted very high. And so I think Kendra Miller, Kamara's getting old. Next year, a lot of times he was good this year, but really struggled toward the end. Kendra Miller might be a cheaper option as a rookie this past year.
Yeah, and he actually looked good in after Kamara went out. Kendra Miller looked good. So if just follow very closely, he has some kind of a like thigh thing or groin injury. If he is out, Kendra Miller will be a very good pickup.
Yeah. So Jed, going back to your league, let me read to you the names of the people that you're going to be playing against. Josh Allen, George Pickens, Jamar Chase, James Cook, um, Harrison Jr. Man, this guy's got a good team on his side.
Oh yeah, no, he's
Yeah, he's
stacked.
got a good team. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
pretty
it's
stacked.
gonna be it's
Yeah.
definitely gonna be tough. I'm scared of Jamar Chase. He does have Kamara, so I like that. I think that could be we'll have to see what he does there. Marvin Harrison has been up or down. We'll see.
Yeah.
Pickens actually had an injury as well, so we'll
I mean,
see.
Josh
I mean, it's
Allen alone. Josh Allen alone
yes,
could
yes,
kill you,
yeah,
right?
could
Yeah.
beat me, especially because they're playing New England. So what I'm hoping is they beat New England so bad in the first half that they sit Josh Allen for the second
Yeah.
half and he doesn't have to play, or they can just run the ball. But it's really gonna for me gonna come down to James Conner and Derrick Henry. James
Yeah.
Conner and Derrick Henry have to come through. Baker Mayfield. If those three guys come through, I might be okay. We'll see.
The problem with Derrick Henry these days is because Lamar is doing so well. What Lamar had 5 touchdowns?
Yeah, five
And Derrick
touchdowns.
Henry, I thought they were going to give him a touchdown. I was pretty sure they were going to get because he needs one more touchdown to beat the all-time record in a single season for the Baltimore Ravens. They didn't
Yeah.
even give him a chance, you know. And so I was like, I mean, who was it? Rashad Bateman had more touchdowns
Yeah.
than Derrick Henry.
Did you guys know last week Jared Goff? It was the first time an NFL quarterback had 5 touchdowns and they lost.
Yeah.
He had 5 touchdowns and over 400 yards and they lost. Had never happened.
Josh Allen is so good. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, I don't know if you can pass him up in the 5th round next year.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. No, it's good.
Yeah.
Definitely good.
Now, if you were to win, the number one seed has Jalen Hurts, Cooper Cup, Saquon Barkley, and Joe Mixon. But they
Yeah.
also have DeAndre Hopkins, Calvin Ridley, Bowers, who's dealing with a terrible quarterback. And so you're just hoping that they have a bad day with Jalen Hurts, who does have a broken hand on his non-throwing hand, and you hope that Barkley isn't going to do well.
Yeah, well, I would love for it to be me versus him because then you have Barkley versus Derrick Henry, which I think that's appropriate. Those are the two running backs that should be carrying teams this year, and so I think that would be a nice matchup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you were in the semifinals, Jim and Jed, and Patrick Mahomes, you saw, hey, it was a blowout game. They still played him. He ends up getting a high ankle sprain. He is practicing fully. I'm not sure if they will probably. Would you rather save him for the playoffs? Would you dare to start a Patrick Mahomes, or would you go after Aaron Rodgers? Would you go after a Drake May or something?
Hey,
Someone
Carson Wentz coming in for Kansas City, man. You never
you
know.
you know what? Carson Wentz is, if he's good, he's really really good.
That's
When
right.
he's bad, but he actually, you may be right starting someone like a Carson Wentz.
Yeah, I'm telling you, if you're Kansas City, why are you throwing him out there? You should definitely not be putting Mahomes out there. Like, let Mahomes rest.
Because I
There's
think
no
they
reason to
want
rush
the
him
number
out.
one. I think they want
Yes,
the
they
number
want
one.
the number one
That's the
seed.
reason
Yeah,
why they want it. Yeah.
yeah. But if you think about it, they don't need it. I mean, their whole storyline this year has been the ability to win games wherever they are and whatever they need. So why are they so worried about home field advantage?
I don't. I mean, both Baltimore and Buffalo looks good this year. So
Yeah.
maybe they're a lot more scared than they realize because all three of them could potentially. I would say Buffalo and Lamar and Baltimore are better than the Chiefs. The
Yeah,
Chiefs just
yeah,
been lucky.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. Hey, honestly, I would love to see Buffalo win one. I
Yeah.
mean, I know Detroit. By the way, Detroit just lost David Montgomery. I would
Oh,
love to see the Buffalo Bills win the Super Bowl.
yeah. No, I feel bad for Detroit. I think it's 16 players now that they've lost to injury, which is just an insane number. They're not going to win this year. It's too much, but yeah, you do want to cheer for Detroit and to be able to break through. I will say, if you have Jameer Gibbs, I would not worry one bit. He's gonna eat some of Montgomery's carries, not all of them, but he's gonna eat a good chunk. They've already come out and said that they want to use him as the bell cow. So like, I think you're gonna get a lot of points if you
Tom,
got Gibbs.
Tom, remember a couple of years ago you bought those LA Chargers tickets or LA Rams
Yeah.
tickets? Did you know that? So Buffalo versus Detroit was the highest per price ticket this year. I think it
Oh,
was like
interesting.
$475 a ticket. The year before, who's the coach of the Detroit Lions? Is it
Dan
who?
Campbell.
Yeah, Dan Campbell. Before Dan Campbell came, you could have bought all of their home tickets for $375. Did you know?
Wow.
Like, it's crazy. I was like, too bad none of us got tickets back then.
But the only problem, Jimmy, I find it with all these sports teams, like with the Cubs, when I had the season tickets, is they once they know it, they just shoot up all the ticket. They just price hike it. So it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like right now, look at the White Sox. I keep getting email from the White Sox every single day, which, by the way, they have changed their stadium name once again from
What? No,
Guarantee Rate Field to now Rate Field.
Oh,
that's so funny.
yeah. By
Didn't
the
know
way,
that.
though, but okay, so not to go into baseball, but if you bought tickets today, they do have the six of the top 100 players in MLB. So you never know.
All
Maybe a
right.
couple of years from now, they might be pretty good.
There you go.
Which one? The White Sox?
Yeah, six of the top 100 players.
Yeah, but remember when they had that a couple years ago with Yamakata, Lucas Giolito, all of those guys, and look what they did with that team.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, another thing in terms of this whole out of the NFC North, right? Minnesota is really emerging really well with Dallas. No, not Dallas. Really struggling with Detroit. Really struggling. Green Bay as well as Minnesota for the NFC North. I
Yep.
think they actually have a realistic shot at the Super Bowl.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I think both of those teams, they get hot. Either of those teams, you can make an easy case. Minnesota, I'm excited for Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold is going to get paid. Like, he's either going to have a nice run and then force Minnesota to sign him, or he's going to, maybe not win, but then get picked up by another team. But he's going to finally get a big
Yeah.
payday. So good for him.
Yeah. And can you see him on a team like the New Orleans Saints? I think he actually would do really well with a good running game. Now, New Orleans needs to draft a couple wide receivers, but they do have Chris Olave. They have a great defense. He would fit really well in New Orleans.
Yeah, I agree. That could be a good landing spot for him. We'll
Yeah.
see. I mean, it really depends. I think if he wins just, let's say, 2 games, if he can win 2 games in the playoffs, I don't think Minnesota can let Darnold go.
Yeah. Also, DraftKings wasn't the Bears such an easy bet. You just knew the Bears would lose. So I made so much money on Monday because all I did was bet on Minnesota.
You know Minnesota was going to win, and you knew Justin Jefferson was going to get something from Sam Darnold. Like, it was pretty
He
given.
almost got that second one. You guys saw that he totally dropped the second
Yes.
touchdown.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think he dropped the second one because he was sitting there looking straight at the end zone and
Yep.
he missed it because that was an easy, easy catch.
Oh, okay. So another thing, Jed, I could have beat you if Jonathan Taylor got that touchdown. Did you see
Yeah.
that? He literally passed it, but at the end, I don't know what he was doing. I think he was waiting for his picture, but it didn't count. I was like stinking because I would have gone up on you, and I think I could have won. If
Yeah.
that and Roman Doomsday, I would have been fine. I
Yeah,
was
you
so
just
mad.
needed one more touchdown.
I just
is all.
needed that one, and I thought I had it too because actually on Yahoo they changed it so I was up, and then I re-looked at it again, and then I was down because they called the touchdown back. I was so upset.
Oh man, that's tough. It's brutal.
Yeah. Hey, as we start wrapping up, I think we probably have one more episode in us. Then we'll start talking
Yeah.
about free agents and all that stuff. Look at all the quarterback changes that are coming back. Derek Carr, unlikely to return this season. Jameis Wilson, out as starter. Aiden O'Connell, Las Vegas. I mean, he probably is at your long-term route. Will Levis losing starting gig. I mean, look at all the Michael Penix, Kirk Cousins, Dorian Thompson Robinson. There's going to be a lot of quarterback openings this year.
Well, we talked about at the beginning of the season that this is really a transition year for the NFL quarterbacks to where I think this year is the lowest average age for starting quarterbacks in the NFL that we've had in some time.
Yeah.
And so that's exactly what you saw. All these guys like Aaron Rodgers, they're just too old. Kirk Cousins, they've got to retire and give way to the younger guys. So I think that's really exciting. And you look in the college, I mean, it's going to be interesting seeing where Shadar Sanders goes and, where does Travis Hunter go? Like, where do all these players we're seeing on the college scene? And by the way, this is the first year of the college playoff. I hope you guys are excited.
Oh, yeah, this Saturday, right?
Yeah,
Saturday.
Indiana. No, starts Friday night. Indiana's
Yeah.
playing Purdue Friday night, and then you got a whole slate of games. I'm really excited for the college playoff. But as far as quarterback, it's really a changing of the guard. So that's what we saw play out.
Yeah, Jed, speaking old, Aaron Rodgers to Devontae Adams sure was good.
Did you guys see Devontae Adams say he would absolutely not ever play for the Bears? Did you guys see that?
Hey, how much time do we have? Do we have a couple minutes to run through a
Yeah.
couple things?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, okay. I want to run through some of these games, and you tell me if there are any players that are picks to click. Right? They're going to score a touchdown. They're going to do really well. Here's a couple of games I'm looking at. Detroit versus Chicago. Who do you think is going to win?
Jameer Gibbs.
All day.
Yeah, all day.
I think Jared Goff will at least throw one touchdown. Don't you think?
Oh yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
Well, they're going to rely heavily on the run game though. But yeah, no, I think that's fair.
And more so, Jim, the defensive tackles on the Bears line are kind of weak and they're all injured. The secondary is still good. So you're less willing to go with Amon-Ra St. Brown, but Jameer Gibbs all day.
Yeah, maybe even Jameer Gibbs for a 2 touchdown. I love that 2 touchdown bet. That's a really interesting.
And we're pretty sure Detroit will beat Chicago, right?
What's the spread?
Yeah.
What's the spread?
I don't have the.
Yeah,
but we're pretty sure they're going to beat Chicago.
Yeah.
Right now, the Chicago Bears, and this is just draft-wise, are positioned at the 9th draft pick at 4-10. Right above them is New York Jets at 4-10, Cleveland Browns, Tennessee Titans, Jacksonville Jaguars, all at 3-11. They keep losing, they're going to go up to the top 3 or 4 draft picks.
Yeah.
Guys, Detroit is only a 6.5 point favorite. What is going on? You have to bet that. I'm betting that now. That is like easy bet, guys.
Okay, pull up this one because I think for sure they're going to win. Cincinnati versus Cleveland.
Yeah, Cincinnati's definitely going to win. Cincinnati is a 7.5 point favorite.
Oh, okay.
I still feel like Cincinnati should definitely.
A good bet. Burrow's going to score a touchdown. He's going to throw for a touchdown.
And Jamar Chase. Yeah, I like Jamar
Jim,
Chase.
I've had Burrow on for Alaska. He is phenomenal. He is elite. He doesn't run as much as Allen, but he is so good.
Yeah. Buffalo versus New England. Buffalo will win. Right?
Oh, yeah, easily. Buffalo. And the only question is, what's the spread? It looks like, 14 points. Yeah. That is a lot, guys. 14 points is a lot.
One thing I realized for Buffalo, what you should, if you're doing DraftKings, don't put in a bet for Josh Allen to throw a touchdown. Do an anytime touchdown for Josh Allen because these days you never know if he's going to throw it or if he's going to run it in.
But the anytime touchdown doesn't count for passing. You don't get it. It doesn't count if you pass it.
Oh, okay.
Because they define an anytime touchdown as you carried the ball over the line. So it has to either be a receiving touchdown or a running touchdown.
Yeah, which I can't stand because I want Allen and Lamar Jackson to run in for those touchdowns.
Yes, yeah.
I'm trying to think what other games would be good. New York versus Atlanta is going to be a boring game. I don't even know who's going to win on this one because you don't know what's
going on. We should go back to Cowboys Buccaneers. that is a good game. I think you can bank. I'd probably put something on Mike Evans to score. CeeDee Lamb, as bad as the Cowboys have been, CeeDee Lamb has been very good. I would throw something at CeeDee Lamb to get a touchdown.
Yep. Yep. CD Lamb. Yep. Agreed.
How about
And
Bucky
hey,
Irving?
look, I would probably also look at Derrick Henry. He hasn't scored a touchdown. He hasn't ran in for a
Yeah,
touchdown for a couple weeks.
yeah, they
He's
need
in
it.
for a
I
big game.
agree. I
Who are they
agree.
playing? Baltimore's playing who?
Baltimore is playing the Steelers. That is a good
Oh,
game.
that's a hard game.
Yeah, that's a good game.
Yeah. Oh, that's
The
a
other,
Saturday game. Did you know there's two Saturday games this year? Houston versus
oh
Kansas
yeah,
City and Pittsburgh versus Baltimore.
oh that's interesting. It's going to compete with the
Yeah.
college playoff.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I wonder why they did that.
And Jim
The other
also
one,
Saquon Barkley. He's gonna get some yards.
yes,
He needs some
yes.
yards to get that record.
I was just going to say Eagles versus Commanders. So that is an interesting game. I think the Eagles are favored. Yeah, 3.5 point favored. But I think you can. There's going to be some scoring there. So
No,
I agree.
don't you think? Okay, so they're battling it out for their division, right?
Yeah,
You got to think that Philadelphia is going to like turn it on, so they
yeah.
can.
Philly's defense.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
Okay, so let me ask you. Here's the other question: Houston versus Kansas City, right? Even if Mahomes plays, he's going to be relatively slow and weakened. Don't you think Houston's going to like press on it a little bit more, and you can at least assure that Nico Collins is going to score a touchdown?
I like Nico Collins for a touchdown. I don't know if I like Houston to win. Kansas City's got a 3 point. Well, yeah, I guess you're right. If they're starting Carson Wentz, I cannot believe it if Mahomes plays. That is just that'll blow me
Yeah.
away. If he
Except here's my
plays.
thing: is I can see the storyline being Mahomes plays, and then they still win. You know, like
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then they essentially say, "Look, they're going to win despite the quarterback too."
Yep. Jim, the one game that I'm looking at, Arizona Cardinals against the Carolina Panthers, James Conner.
Yes.
No.
Yes, I need him in fantasy. Have
James
another
Conner.
2 touchdown game.
Yes.
Yeah.
They have a great matchup against the Carolina Panthers. All right. James Conner all day. I am going
And
for him.
Chuba Hubbard too. I think Chuba Hubbard will
Yeah.
score. What's his face is out now. The rookie quarterback. I mean rookie running back. So Chuba Hubbard all day.
Las Vegas
Another
versus.
one, LA Rams against New York Jets, Puka Nakua.
You think? I don't
Mm.
know. I'm up in the air because I can see them having a really bad offensive day, or both of them going hard after each other.
Yeah. I think a lot of times, hey, look, it's right near the draft time. Some of these guys want to lose. All right. And some of these guys want to lose. Because
want the
look at it in
Panthers,
terms of
I want
draft
the Bears.
position. Right now, the New York Giants is number one projected to be in position to be in NFL draft. New England Patriots, number 2, Carolina Panthers, number 3, LA Raiders, number 4. And there's not that many games separating all those guys. Any loss will move them up a lot and in multiple spaces.
That's so. I will say I feel bad for the P. That's why in our 1K league, the number one team using Brock Bowers. Bowers has been awesome, but the last couple weeks not so good because the quarterback play and also like you said, Tommy. I think they kind of want to lose. So I really feel bad for the Brock Bowers owners because I don't think he looks so
Yeah.
great these couple weeks.
Yeah. Nope. Any other games, Jim?
No, that's it. I mean, it'll be interesting. You're right. This weekend will be pretty big because of the college playoffs, NFL, and you always have your slate of NBA games as well too.
Yeah. Hey, Jed, let me tell you something because I was all mad yesterday, Jimmy. I thought, here's what I did. Let me see. What did I do to Jimmy? Oh, here we go. Yesterday, I bet, stupid me, $100.
What?
$100 on Denver against Cal Poly.
What?
Jed, they were
What
up
are
by
you doing, Tommy?
They were up by 23, Jed. And the payout was 186.
Oh man.
No, I
And
said
it was
don't ever gamble like that.
Yes.
Like don't ever stick with your strategy.
Yes.
No matter how boring, stick with your strategy and just stay at that strategy.
That's
Don't
right.
go
That's
any
right.
beyond that.
Yeah.
Yes,
Exactly.
I was so stupid. I will never do this again.
Good.
$100.
Yeah,
I said they're
$100
up by
bet.
23. They're at negative 115.
Yeah.
This is going to be great. How can you lose a 23 point with
No,
7 minutes to go? They lost a 23-point
No,
lead with
here's
7 minutes to go.
here's the other thing. Most likely in NFL, they're not going to come back down if they have that big lead, right? They're not going to do it. College, you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah. That's why I love college ball. It's like so nuts. And actually, Tommy, what you should have done was if you had to bet Cal Poly, if you had to bet the other team, that would have been pretty cool. To see that. But also, you
Yeah.
shouldn't be doing $100 bets, man. Cap yourself, like $5, $10. Don't be betting more than that.
Yeah. So I think a lot of times I've learned my lesson. I'm not going to do it. But I got to fight that temptation when I sit there, you're up by 20 points with 7 minutes. This is pretty good.
It's funny.
Uh, anyways, did you know that my wife is glad that this podcast is done? But then I was like, but then we have free agency. Then we have the draft coming up.
Yeah, no, we need to. I think one more to end cap the season, and then we can maybe talk about the draft.
No, then we
And we
could talk
usually
about
come back for the
maybe we'll
draft.
get a championship.
Yeah, we come back for the draft one more time, and then we also come back for NFL free agency one more time, and then
Yeah.
we don't record again until August.
Yeah, I
But
think
if
one before the Super Bowl, we could talk about Super Bowl bets. That would be kind of
Yeah.
fun.
But it did feel like this season went by really fast.
Yeah, as usual. As usual.
Okay, so hold on. Let me tell you one thing. This is how ridiculous NIL has gotten. Have you guys seen the latest offer they're trying to get for this Texas quarterback? So Oregon is trying to convince this Texas quarterback to come.
Which one? Archie Manning or the? Or
Not
the
Arch Manning, but the other guy. I forgot his name.
oh,
But it came out, so somebody printed out. This is what the offer on the table is, right? And I don't know how legit this is, but I was like, if this is what NIL offers are, it's crazy. They were going to give the guy $10 million with $750,000 instantly upfront, 10 tickets plus transportation plus airfare for any of his friends and relatives, 3 automobiles upfront for his family members, for his parents and siblings, and then he also gets a private driver that takes him to classes. I was like, is this stupid? Like, has this what we've gotten to in NIL now? Like, all this money, but I guess Oregon supposedly is notorious for their donors putting in tons of money so they can recruit these guys.
hey, well, look at Dylan Gabriel. I mean, he got a boatload to go there now. Oregon is a favorite to win. I mean, they're
No, yeah,
looking really good.
I mean, like, can you imagine giving all this money to these college students? Like, I don't know.
Hey,
It's just,
I'd rather give it to the college students than those execs up in sitting up in the ivory tower. So
No.
it doesn't bother me.
But Jim, a lot of times with Oregon, they said the key guy there is Phil Knight for Nike because it really helps Nike promote all of
Yeah.
their stuff.
maybe that's why. I was like, how the heck does Oregon get all these donors to be able to do all
Yes.
Hey, Oregon
Phil Knight.
jerseys are some of the best in the country, man. They're fun.
Yes.
Maybe that's the thing. They
Yes.
see that number one connected to Oregon, and that's why they're
Yep.
putting so much because there's a business aspect to it.
Yeah, and it may not even be the individual donor. It may be Nike pulling up all this money because it's marketing money right there.
You know what I was thinking about, Jed? I was like, at what point can I start selling these private jets to these athletes?
Yes,
Putting them
yes,
into their contract.
yeah. You got to do it, man.
Yeah. Hey, Jim, are we going to talk a little bit about our sponsor for a 1K league?
Oh, Farmers Insurance. Oh, yeah, Farmers Insurance is our sponsor. I need to make sure. They said that they're wanting to do it again next year, but they love
Wow.
it. They like the idea of being able to do this. They would love to do more leagues. They just think it's fun to be able to do
It's
something
Farmers
different.
Insurance in where? In LA or something? It's a specific one, right?
No, well, it's just through my friend. He got it from corporate. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And your
but I
friend, a
do
lot of times, tell us a little bit more about your friend and why he wants to invest in this tiny little fantasy football league and the 1K league.
So he and I are good friends. He actually runs his own company, and he really loves fantasy football, and he listens to this show as well too. So we talk about. He was actually just texting me about it, but he's like, "Hey, if we can do like a couple of leagues next year, in different parts, like I think he thought it would be fun to do."
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Tell him just as long as one of us keeps winning, we're okay.
And I think we should do a dynasty league, or we should do an auction league, or a something league, or 2 separate leagues, something that's different.
We should do snake draft for if we open it up more to public. We should do snake because then at least it's a little more
Auction,
random.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
a little bit easier. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like auction better, but I think it's harder for amateur.
I think one of the things that the feedback coming from some of the players this year was they like it. They would like to be more involved in some of the day-to-day podcasts. And so like some of them were like, if you decide that you want to do like a rookie show, if you want to do something about free agencies or waiver wires, I think they thought that it would be fun for them to be
Or
on.
you know what we could do? You could do something like, whoever wins that week, then we have them on the show and they can talk about what their strategy is for the next week or something like that.
Yeah, or one of the guys who just does all data. That's all they listen is all data or something like that, or a segment or yeah. Hey, remember when we used to do a segment with the doctor where the doctor came
Yeah,
in and started talking about injuries and all of that stuff?
yeah, I thought that was kind of cool actually. I was just thinking about that today for Kamara, for Alvin Kamara. It was like I saw a doctor on TikTok who was talking about it, and he was like,
Oh,
"Look,
really?
if it's this way, he's not going to play. If it's this way, then he will play." And so it's just good to hear, like, okay, there's a chance.
My dream is to get a couple of NFL players to get on here and start.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know about in season.
So I got Ray Lewis to do a thing for our jet company.
I saw that.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Yeah, that was really cool. Ray Lewis is the best, man.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
All right, thanks.
Good to see you
All right.
guys.
Talk soon.